Sometimes the best way to make someone see your worth is to remove yourself. People get too comfortable when they know you'll always be there, always available, always forgiving. They stop appreciating your presence because they assume it's permanent. But the moment you step back, everything shifts. Suddenly they notice the gap you left, the silence where your voice used to be, the absence of your support. And in that space, they start to realize what they took for granted. Distance is powerful because it forces people to reflect. It removes distractions and makes them sit with their own thoughts. When you're always around, they never have to think about losing you. But when you step away, they're left with nothing but the memories of what used to be. They start replaying moments in their mind, the laughter, the deep conversations, the times you stood by them when no one else did. And as those memories resurface, regret creeps in. This isn't about manipulation, it's about self-respect. It's about understanding that your presence is a privilege, not a right. If they don't value you when you're there, let them feel what life is like without you. Give them the chance to miss you, to question their actions, to wonder why they ever let you go. And as they go through that process, you'll realize something too. Walking away wasn't about making them miss you. It was about finding yourself. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you have. When you stop talking, stop explaining, stop trying to prove your worth, people are forced to listen in a way they never did before. You don't have to beg for attention, respect, or love. The moment you go quiet, the people who truly care will notice, and the ones who never valued you will simply fade away. Silence reveals everything. When you always speak up, always reach out, always fight to be heard, people get used to it. They take your words for granted. They dismiss your feelings because they assume you'll always be there, always trying. But when you stop, when you step back, when you let the silence take over, they have no choice but to sit with their own thoughts. Suddenly, they start replaying your words, the things they ignored when you were right in front of them. And in that silence, they begin to understand what they never paid attention to before. Silence commands respect in a way that words never could. It creates curiosity, makes people wonder, makes them reflect. It's in that space of uncertainty that they begin to see what they lost. But by the time they realize you'll have found something far more valuable than their attention, you'll have found peace. Because true strength isn't in convincing people to see your worth. It's in knowing it for yourself and refusing to fight for anyone who doesn't. The best way to prove your worth is not through words, not through arguments, and not through chasing people who don't see it. The best way to prove your worth is through action, through growth, through transformation, through becoming so strong, so confident, so successful that those who once overlooked you have no choice but to notice. When you shift your focus from seeking validation to building yourself, everything changes. You stop worrying about who values you and start valuing yourself. You stop seeking attention and start seeking progress. And that's when life starts working in your favor. There is nothing more powerful than leveling up in silence. When you take all that energy you once wasted on proving yourself to others and invest it into becoming the best version of yourself, the results speak for themselves. Suddenly, you're no longer desperate for approval. You're no longer waiting for someone to recognize your worth. You're too busy creating a life that makes you proud. And when you do that, people take notice. The same ones who ignored you, who doubted you, who never appreciated you will start to wonder what changed. But the truth is, it wasn't them who changed, it was you. Growth is the best response to being overlooked. Success is the best revenge for being undervalued. And self-improvement is the best way to turn pain into power. Because when you focus on building yourself instead of proving yourself, the right people will notice, and the wrong ones will regret ever doubting you. Self-respect begins the moment you stop begging for it. If someone doesn't see your worth, it's not your job to convince them. If they don't appreciate your presence, it's not your responsibility to prove it. There comes a time when you have to stop explaining yourself, stop trying to fix what's broken, and walk away with dignity. Because the truth is, people don't realize what they have until it's gone. And if they only start valuing you once you're no longer there, that says everything you need to know. Walking away isn't weakness, it's strength. It takes courage to leave a situation where you're not valued. It takes self-respect to stop settling for less than you deserve. And it takes wisdom to understand that staying where you're not appreciated will never make someone appreciate you more. If they don't see your worth when you're giving your best, they never truly valued you in the first place. And the longer you stay, the more you teach them that it's okay to take you for granted. But the moment you decide to step back, to stop proving, to let go, something shifts. The dynamic changes. Suddenly, the person they assumed would always be there is no longer available. And that's when they start to feel your absence. That's when they begin to understand that you weren't the problem, you were the blessing they failed to recognize. And by the time they realize it, you'll have already moved on stronger than ever. People never truly appreciate what they have until it's gone. They take kindness for weakness, loyalty for granted, and consistency is something that will always be there. But the moment you walk away, the moment you stop answering, stop reaching out, stop showing up, something shifts. Suddenly they feel the emptiness where you used to be. They start remembering the little things, your patience, your support, your presence. And that's when the regret sets in. Regret is a powerful thing because it forces people to see the truth they once ignored. They start questioning themselves, wondering why they didn't appreciate you when they had the chance. They think about all the moments they could have treated you better, all the times they could have said thank you but didn't, all the ways they could have shown you that you mattered but never did. And in that moment, they realize they lost something real. But here's the thing, you're not there anymore. You've grown, moved on, and found something greater than their validation. Because by the time they start missing you, you've already discovered your own worth. You've already stepped into a version of yourself that no longer waits for appreciation from those who once overlooked you. And that's the moment you understand losing them wasn't your loss, it was theirs. And no amount of regret can bring back what they failed to cherish when they had it. When you stop chasing, stop proving, and stop waiting for people to see your worth, your entire life transforms. The energy you once wasted trying to make others appreciate you is now poured into yourself. You start focusing on your goals, your dreams, and your growth. And in that process, something incredible happens. You become unstoppable. You become stronger, wiser, and more confident. You stop needing validation from others because you've learned to validate yourself. And when you do that, you start attracting the right kind of people, the ones who see your value without you having to convince them. Life rewards those who know their worth. The moment you stop begging for attention and start building yourself, opportunities open up. You find yourself in spaces where you're respected. You meet people who genuinely appreciate you. You no longer feel drained by the weight of trying to prove yourself to the wrong ones. Instead, you feel empowered because you finally realize that losing certain people was never a loss. It was a necessary step toward becoming who you were meant to be. And as you rise, as you grow, as you evolve, the same people who once overlooked you will start watching. They'll see the person you become and wish they had valued you when they had the chance. But by then it won't matter, because you'll be too busy living the life you were always meant to have, one where you are loved, respected, and valued without having to beg for it.